Well, welcome to the 2024 OLA Officer Candidate Forum. We have 4 officers to elect this year. As I introduce each candidate, they will give a brief statement about why they are running. Feel free to ask questions via the chat, and we will address those after the introductions. First off, we are going to be looking at our candidates for secretary. First, we have Molly Dettmann. Molly is a teacher librarian at Norman North High School in Norman, Oklahoma. She is currently serving as the chair of the Oklahoma School Librarians Division. Molly, please give us a brief statement why you're running for secretary.
All right. So I'm running for secretary because I've been secretary in a couple different roles for OLA, so I know how to take notes. But also to give some more school librarian voice on the OLA board. It's been kind of difficult to get someone to run for president, and so we usually at least have the OKSL chairs representation, but then with so much school library stuff happening, it's important to have some more school library voices, and so in this role, I would be able to serve in that capacity.
Thank you, Molly. Next up, we have Casey Lowry. Casey is the web developer for the Chambers Library at the University of Central Oklahoma. She's been an active OLA member since 2016, participating in UCD and EDII activities and serving on numerous committees, including marketing and communications, conference planning, governance, continuing education, and the website redesign ad hoc committee. She's currently serving as the chair of the governance committee. Casey, would you like to give us a brief statement?
Hello, yes. I have been on the executive board as a non-voting member before, as the marketing and communications committee chair. And I would like to be on the board again as the secretary, partly to just kind of make sure that the notes are shared and like everything that the board is doing is made transparent and communicated to everyone effectively, but also there's a lot of like sort of internal procedures that OLA has that we're kind of working on trying to get documented to make them a little bit more sustainable and easier for new OLA leaders to step into leadership roles. And that's something that I would really like to work on as secretary.
Thank you, Casey. Next up, we have our candidates for MPLA Representative. First, Tricia Andrews is the Manager of Access at the Metropolitan Library System. She has an MLS from Emporia State University and has worked in libraries for over 15 years in both academic and public libraries. Tricia, please give us a brief statement as why you're running.
Hello, everyone. I would love to be able to represent Oklahoma at a regional level. I see the value in creating relationships in Oklahoma, but across the Mountain Plains region, it would be helpful to see the experiences that we're all experiencing. If it's the same challenge, if we're having the same wins, but getting additional perspectives and bringing that information back to Oklahoma to strengthen OLA and to strengthen Oklahoma libraries.
Thank you, Tricia. And next we have Phil Clark, who is the Regional Coordinator with the Pioneer Library System and is the current branch manager of the Moore Public Library. Phil has used his training with the Harwood Institute to facilitate multiple strategic planning sessions with OLA leadership and town hall meetings with the membership at large. Phil graduated from the University of Oklahoma in 1986 with a degree in business management and has over 25 years of supervisory experience. Phil, please give us a brief statement.
Thank you. Yeah, I think my interest peaked for this a couple summers ago when I was able to attend MPLA conference in Montana, and was really kind of blown away with the programming. I felt that things were very practical. It just was something I wanted to be a part of, and thought that I would be able to represent Oklahoma librarians and bring a lot of our innovative practices and things that we developed here on that level. But the networking is great, and I managed a small library and now a larger library, and it seemed like the group that I networked with there, and it just seemed very comfortable. It seemed like our people, and I just wanted to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Next up, we have our candidate for ALA Councilor, Leanne Cheek. Leanne is the Reader Services Coordinator for the Pioneer Library System, managing collection development for the system. She earned her Master of Library and Information Studies in 2009 from the University of Oklahoma. Leanne has served as the chair for the OLA Intellectual Freedom Committee for 3 years, and she graduated from both the OLA Gold and MPLA Leadership Institutes. Leanne?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, as you mentioned, I've been involved in intellectual freedom issues for years now. And it is a passion of mine, and it's in the news a lot lately, across the nation, definitely in Oklahoma, but across the whole nation. So as the ALA counselor, I would really enjoy representing our state, the things that we are being successful with, the struggles that we're having, and really connect with the other states and their associations and the things that they're dealing with, since we're seeing a lot of the same legislation and things like that. I've been working on the advocacy committee as well as EDII this year. And so it's just something that I'd like to continue on a larger scale.
Thank you, Leanne. And our candidate for president-elect is Michael Hull, who is the executive director of the Southeast Oklahoma Library System. He earned his Master's of Library and Information Studies degree from the University of Oklahoma. Michael's actively participated in numerous OLA committees and has chaired both the Public Library Division and the Awards Committee. He also led the formation of the Small Oklahoma Library Roundtable, SOLAR, and served as its first chair. He is currently serving as treasurer for this association. Michael?
Hi, afternoon, everyone. Excuse me, losing my voice today. I've been in OLA for some time. Dana was very cruel last summer and made me realize that I'm no longer one of the young people in OLA, but one of the old guard, and that's a sobering moment. And I've done a lot of thinking, Dana, since that leadership retreat, just about my role in OLA, and I'm very excited for the opportunity to give the ultimate service to the association by having the opportunity to serve in this role. And I think what my biggest passions coming to this position would be one, it scares me that I'm the old guard, because who's going to be the new guard after me, after those of us who are, so many of you in this meeting that I see today, who's coming after us? So I think we have an opportunity to try to really identify and bring in new people into leadership roles in OLA and get them exposed and get that hunger and help them to see all that OLA did for all of us and to give that back. And I think with all the trying political times that we have going on, I think I bring a good skill set, understanding, and my focus would hopefully be to get the spotlight on all the great things libraries do. I'm convinced that we let ourselves kind of get into a defensive corner, and we're so busy trying to defend that corner when I think we should be running out onto the field and getting that spotlight following us onto all the other great things that we do, and get people to understand that that little corner of books, that is such a small part of the library. If you look at all the other technology and the services and the programs and the activities, we will get our communities excited. Once we get our community leaders excited, I think we can start beating some of these issues and have our citizens and our community leaders defending us when we have some of these issues crop up.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, for those of you attending the forum, do you have questions? You can put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask. While you're pondering that, I do have some questions for our candidates. So first, I'm going to start with Secretary Casey. Well, this question is the same for both. Casey, we'll let you go first. Do you have any personal initiatives to strengthen the organization and grow its membership?
Well, one of my big goals for OLA is to make it less intimidating to be like a committee chair or roundtable chair or division chair. And there are some of those groups that have really good like little handbooks that they can follow to help them in that role. but not all of them do. And so one thing I'd really like to do is help those groups develop documentation like that. First of all, to help people in that role, but also to just kind of make things consistent from year to year so that people who are participating in OLA activities know what to expect each year.
Thank you, Casey. Molly, same question. Any personal initiatives to strengthen the organization and grow its membership?
Sorry, that it didn't get out of the school bell messages going off. That is not my message though. So like right now, I mean, as secretary, I'm not sure exactly in that role what I could do right away, but I know like as OKSL chair, I get like the little notifications if there's like a new member who's joined OKSL. So I always send a welcome email to say like, what up, be a part of OLA. Here's some easy ways to do some things. So I think maybe that could be something that the secretary could potentially do, just at least a little welcome, hey, email, which is some really low key, just to put a personal face behind it, like, hey, you joined, there are people involved, and the people want to hang out with you and have a good time.
Thank you, Molly. Okay, so MPLA reps candidates. Tricia and Phil. Phil, will let you go first. So how do you see OLA collaborating with national and international counterparts to share best practices and address global changes facing libraries and the profession?
I think I'll give one example, and I'll piggyback on kind of what Michael talked about and really to compliment, I think, the job that a lot of us have done, a lot of people have done, not me, those that have worked on the advocacy side of things. I think that personally, I think we've done a great job, and that's a message I think we can spread, especially with some of the Mountain Plains libraries have had a hard time, especially dropping out of ALA and things like that, that maybe there's some input we can give them, or an example to give them of how we approach that, because we're very red as well, you know, and have struggles that way. But I think the reason that we don't have more trouble sometimes is, and maybe the school, Molly might think different about this than maybe the public seem to get, I mean, the schools seem to get hit first, but the relationships we built with elected officials, when that's hard. I mean, that's hard to do that because you really disagree sometimes with what's going on. But I think we've done a good job of that. Maybe that's a message we can spread.
Thank you, Phil. Next, Leanne, I have a question for you as ALA counselor candidate.
I think Tricia
Oh, I'm sorry.
needs to answer it too.
Yes, I'm so sorry, Tricia. I did not mean to skip you. Same question.
okay.
Do you need me to read it again?
Nope, I have it.
Great.
So I think being active and engaged with other libraries, seeing what challenges they're going through, being a sounding board for them, getting a new perspective. But I think Phil and Michael said it best. We have to make sure we're talking to our legislators, but also that we have our community on board. They're not going to be challenging as much, and they'll push back on legislation as well if they understand the value in what we do. And we have to be vulnerable and have hard conversations with other libraries to see what they're doing. Is it going well for them? Where are they struggling? And bring that back and try and implement it here in Oklahoma to continue that support we have.
Thank you, Tricia. Okay, Leanne, now it's your turn as ALA counselor. How do you see OLA collaborating with national and international counterparts to share best practices and address global changes facing libraries and the profession?
Yeah, I think we're at a unique time period right now, as some others have mentioned, where state associations are dropping out of ALA. State associations are being attacked by legislation and things like that. Getting to be a part of that larger conversation and seeing how each state is handling it, having conversations with the ones who maybe did drop out, but the people in the association still want to be a part of it, just maybe not their state leaders, and making sure that we're not the next one to go. I know there are some legislative bills that are touching on that right now, and that advocacy is doing a great job of making a mission to be proactive and create some nice commercials and things about, look at all these great things that we do that aren't books, that are really aiding our communities. So I think doing things like that, if it works, how we've built relationships at the legislation with Pi Day and things like that, having those conversations with other associations and also just actively supporting ALA. I know some aren't as excited about that as others, but I really respect ALA and what it does for our profession. And so being supportive of that is going to be great.
Thank you, Leanne. Michael, what is your vision for the future of libraries, and how do you see the role of libraries evolving in the coming years?
Yeah, I'm excited about libraries because I don't believe there's ever been a time when we've been more relevant or exciting to our communities. And it all comes down to shedding that old perception that I know we in public libraries hear this every day. I thought you all only had books. I thought that was all you did. And I get so sick of it, and I'm tired of listening to it, and I want to change that narrative. I want people to understand that we've evolved into education and technology hubs, and we're community centers. I like the term community living room myself to identify what a library is and should be. I mean, when you look at all the things libraries offer, we offer cutting edge technology. I mean, we should be the first ones adapting it. I've got all my staff learning AI. Some of them love it. Some of them are coming along a little slowly, but we can't teach it to our customers and help guide them if we don't understand it and have an ability to use it. I think libraries offer a place for everyone. And so many communities lack anything that's free to just go to. So between our programs or just the spaces we offer, having a place to gather and come together, those are things you can't find anywhere. Libraries, we offer educational resources for lifelong learning. And yes, that does get into books, but it's also about our computers, our databases, our technological tools. And I think all that's going to become more prominent. And I think maybe most personal of all to any of us is the belonging that libraries offer. There's no secret if you're a part of a service club, your membership is probably down. If you go to a house of worship, there's probably not nearly as much in the way of membership. And as people are moving away from those things, they need a neutral place to come together, to exchange ideas, to work together. And the library is filling that gap for so many people. And again, it comes back, I think, to that term I said, community living room. So that's what excites me about the future of libraries. I think there's unlimited opportunity as long as we're willing to shed that stereotype of the past.
Thank you. I have another question for you. How do you plan to advocate for libraries at the local, state, and national levels to secure the necessary funding and support?
Personally, like I kind of alluded to in my introduction, I want us to start changing that narrative. I really want us to stop being defensive. And I really think the most important thing we can do is to get into all of our community leaders in front of them, whether it be the mayor, whether it be the principal, whether it be the superintendent, that legislator, and let's get them on our ground and our turf. And let's control that narrative from our perspective and, oh, come in. Did you see all these computers we have? Do you see how many kids are on here? Do you see that we have esports and that these are kids who are going to be getting scholarships and they're going to have jobs because of what you see them doing and interacting with right there? Do you see the jobs that we're helping people to apply for and the job training, and see that some of our libraries are even helping people to get their diplomas? I think there's so many positive narratives out there, and we've got to be more vocal about those. We have to be strategic in getting people in. And I think once they see who we are, they'll realize that we're not the boogeyman that you see in some of these news stories or on social media feeds, but we are allies with our community. We are there and locally controlled to provide our community what it needs to step into the next decades. And I think we can turn people who are concerned about what we do into our best advocates by getting them through those doors or just getting in front of them and showing them the reality of what we do. And I think those are the kind of efforts and initiatives I'd like to be a part of.
Thank you, Michael. I have a question for all of you. So with the conference coming up, it's kind of appropriate. How will you support the ongoing professional development and membership to ensure they are equipped with the skills needed in a rapidly changing information landscape?
Well, OKSL is going to have a workshop this summer once it's approved. So come to our workshop. That's how I'm doing it.
I'll chime in with something I would like to move us back to if I'm lucky to have this opportunity. I missed the days myself when we had Drox having some in-person meetings and also being responsible for coming up with some of our program sessions. I think we lost a lot by going to solely virtual. I don't think any of us want to give up the virtual option away, but I'd like to encourage Drox to do some more in-person opportunities. And I believe we could have some even stronger conference sessions if we actually ask the Drox to go back to considering trying to do 2 or 3. Who can do a better workshop for children and teen programming than CATS? Who can do a better technical services session than TSRT? Not that we don't want to, I love that we have the open call for submissions, but I think we really saw some stronger programs when we had the Drox themselves trying to develop some of these. And I thought it was fun too. I really enjoyed working together on those when we did those as Drox.
I think I would like to see, because it's kind of a passion of mine, it's just my deal, but to have maybe some more. I think the reason I liked MPLA so much the last 2 times is that it seemed very practical. I like educational opportunities that you truly can relate to, depending whether you're a school librarian, academic, or public. And I think soft skills could help. Just some customer service training and that kind of thing to get us to where Michael's talking about, where we're seen differently. So it really isn't someone that's going to tell you to be quiet and with comfortable shoes and that kind of thing, that we really are trying to hire people in all of our places that can relate to the public and talk. But I think we could all use some of that kind of training. And so.
On the flip side of that, I'd kind of like to see OLA have a few more resources developed that are like instructions and tips for how to use specific like digital tools and programs. Because there are a lot of new things coming out, and sometimes it's hard to know how to apply those in the library setting or in the classroom setting. And OLA does have some of that, but I just like to see more of that coming out from OLA.
I think people need to get involved with the different divisions, because that's going to lead to the different learning modules and how we can make them practical, and what people in Oklahoma, librarians in Oklahoma, want to know. And the people that aren't attending learning modules, we need to ask them why. Why aren't they attending? Is it too much? What is the barrier? See if we can remove it. But I also think we need to have time, structured time outside of the meetings, where we can have informal conversations and discussions. What's happening at your library? How can we help each other out? What can we learn? What are you doing that's really awesome? Can I bring that back to my library? We spend so much time once a year at conference when we should be having more conversations throughout the year. And we have a very structured PLD meeting, and it's hard sometimes to have an open floor depending on what the meeting is. So we need to be able to have more time where we can have conversations to learn from each other.
Tricia, that's one of the big advantages I see to trying to get back to some in-person meetings. You lose that element, and so much of what OLA has given me has been those networking opportunities. And COVID in the technological world we're in since then has killed a lot of that. And it's making us more isolated, more lonely, and it makes it harder to develop the next generation when we don't have what you just described.
I definitely agree with what Tricia was saying about building up the membership on the Drox and making people more comfortable with leadership roles and things like that. I know a lot of the Drox didn't have a lot of people step up to run for those chairs and things like that. So making people feel inspired to do that would be great. But also more activity on the Drox, more people showing up for the meetings and volunteering to do different things. And I do think in person makes certain conversations and things go well, but possibly a hybrid effect for some of our meetings and things, because I do know a lot of the rural smaller libraries have a hard time if it's one or two people work those libraries to shut down the library and drive across the state to go to a meeting or something. So being sure that we're keeping all the different varieties of libraries in mind when we're setting up some of these things, to just really make it accessible for all those who want to interact.
Yeah, I'll just throw out as a school librarian, I know I was most difficult to get this scheduled because I have to teach all day with students. You didn't see it, but like the first 5 minutes, I had teenagers in here and I had one eat a piece of paper. So I made it work because we hybrided and we were flexible with the needs of several different libraries.
Yeah, actually, one thing that I would like to see a little bit more of is some virtual forum style events. I remember in 2020, UCD hosted a virtual forum specifically pandemic related, and I thought it was really great, a great discussion. And sometimes I think OLA meetings tend to be a little bit more about planning something that's going on, and maybe we can make some room to just have discussions with each other and not do any planning.
Those are all great answers. Thank you so much. Anybody in the audience have questions? Well, thank you for attending the 2024 OLA Officer Candidate Forum. Be looking for your official ballot on February 12th, and voting will end on February 23rd. Thank you.